Hi guys, Miss Geyer and Logan here again. We are going to be talking about changing decimals into fractions. So remember, you were asked to do that on your ISN. Write that objective at the top of page 50. I can turn a decimal into a fraction. And so we're going to go over some problems, just making sure that you remember how to do that and getting ready to learn about percents. So if you could copy these down on page 50, that would be awesome. So the first problem that we're going to look at is -9/10. And why did I call it -9/10? Oftentimes we'll just say -0.9. Well, the way to say it properly is -9/10 because the 9 is in the tenths place. And part of knowing how to turn a decimal into a fraction is simply listening to your words. Our word said 9/10. So the fraction for this decimal is simply that, -9/10. And we're done. And the reason we're done is because it's simplified. We can't simplify that fraction anymore. Okay, so the next problem. We've got 45 hundredths. The reason I said hundredths is because this number ends in the hundredths place. So when you're saying a number out loud and it comes after a decimal, you ignore the decimal until the end of that number. So for example, I would just say 45, and then whatever place it ends in, the hundredths place, is the word I say next. So 45 hundredths. And because I said 45 hundredths, I know that I could write the fraction like that. Logan, do you think we're done? I don't think we are either. So 45 hundredths can be simplified. It can be simplified by dividing by 5 over 5, or a form of 1. So 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. Now 9 and 20 do not have any common factors, so this cannot be simplified anymore. So 45 hundredths written as a fraction is 9/20. All right, so for problem number 3, we're gonna try a little bit bigger of a number. This we would say -258 thousandths because it ends in the thousandths place. So we're gonna go ahead and write that as a fraction, -258 over 1,000, -258 thousandths. Because that's an 8 and that's a 0, those are both even numbers. So I know that both of these numbers are divisible by 2. Again, when the last digit of any number is even, the whole number is divisible by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do divided by 2 over 2. And let's go ahead and do that division on our paper. Remembering precision, precision. In math we need to use precision. So we need to go, when we divide, we say 2 goes into 2 one time, but it's really important to be precise and to write that 1 on top of the 2. And then 1 times 2 is 2. We subtract, and then we're gonna go ahead and bring down that 5. We're gonna ask how many times 2 goes into 5. That's 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. We subtract, bring down that 8, and look at all that precision. That arrow brought that 5 just down right in line. That 8 came down just right in line. 2 goes into 18 9 times. We're gonna place that 9 above the 8. 9 times 2 is 18. We subtract that 0. So because we have a remainder of nothing, we know we're done. So we're gonna go ahead and write -129. A negative divided by a positive still remains a negative. And then 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. Now 129 and 500 have no common factors. So we are done. So this decimal, -258 thousandths, is written as a fraction as -129 over 500. So our fourth problem, I've kind of scooted myself over here, but I'll go ahead and still write it and then see how much room we have. So -1 and 16 over 25 is our next problem. Oh, I'm sorry, we're converting fraction to decimal. So that's our answer. we're gonna prove how we get that answer. How about that? Negative 1 and 64 hundredths is the decimal. So we're converting decimal to fraction. I'm with you. It's a little late. Here we go. So negative 1 is 64 hundredths. Now this is unique because we have a whole number. So we're going to do like we did with yesterday's lesson, and we're going to let that whole number just kind of chill till the end. And then we're only going to deal with the decimal part. So 64 hundredths. So we've got 64 over 100 again because that 4 ends in the hundredths place. I know that both of these are divisible by 2 because these numbers end in an even digit. But I also know that 64 and 100 are both divisible by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and just do divided by 4 over 4. So a form of 1 in the form of 4 over 4. So 64 divided by 4, I happen to know is 16, and 100 divided by 4 is 25, but you can always do that on the side of your paper if you don't know that division already. And then we can't forget our friend, negative 1. So negative 1 and 64 hundredths written as a fraction, or rather a mixed number, is negative 1 and 16 over 25. And we stop there because 16 25ths is as simplified as that fraction or that mixed number can get. And that is a little reminder of converting decimals into fractions. Hopefully that helps. Did it help you, Logan? That's what I thought.